and late 90s, and I met this tall, beautiful woman who was older. And I don't know if there's any other women here that have had mama issues in their 20s, like their mama may have been too critical or just something going on in that area. She was a motherly, older woman, and when she told me how old she was, I didn't believe her. Had really bad skin, was partying a lot, drinking, doing what people do at 20. I was probably doing too much of it. But I was actually in sales for MCI WorldCom back then, and I was doing well. And I'm being honest, I lied about my age and got into a sales director position. And I'm just being honest. I know the Lord now, so I wouldn't do that now. But at 18, I went to Job Corps because I felt that I wasn't smart. I had learning disabilities, I had trouble testing, had trouble with math, and yes, I went into carpentry, and I memorized the measuring tape because I couldn't even add fractions. So I was hiding, okay? I believed that I had a gift with people, but I was hiding because I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't go to college. I grew up in California when the gang violence was really bad, and I just knew that I wanted to get out of my neighborhood, and I was willing to do whatever I could. So I went to Job Corps, became a carpenter. I ended up in Atlanta when the affirmative action stopped, and I didn't have a job. And someone offered me a security job, took the security job, and because I couldn't get anybody to hire a woman, and a black woman at that, during the 1996. And so I started working in the Olympics at the Atlanta Broadcast Center, which was the gate where all of the major broadcasters came through my gate. And I was there, and I was laughing, and I'm talking to people, and I met the person that was over the MCI laying the telephone lines. I met the top person there. It was a Jewish guy, and he's like, "You have the greatest personality." And he was in communications, telecommunications. He gave me his card, and he said, "When this is over, I want you to call me." And I'm thinking, I can't work in the office, I'm not smart enough. And so I called him when it was over. He called me in for an interview, and he looked at what he thought was a resume, and he said, "Okay, so you went to college, right?" And I was like, he was like, "You went to college?" Yes, I went to college. Yes. He was like, "I want you to go call this number, go back and get your resume and turn it back into me." He was like, "I went to Job Corps." College? Yes, I went to college. So that's how I got my job. I called home, I said, "Oh my God, I got a job, y'all." My mom and dad were like, "What? Are you lying?" And so that's how I started in sales. And in sales, in MCI WorldCom, I became a top salesperson very quickly. I did phone sales, and then you get your frequent flyer miles. You remember that? 5 cents a minute, that 12 cents a minute, that was me. And so, anyway, I met this guy, and I thought he was the right one, and him and I were competing for the number one in sales, and he was the worst thing could ever happen to me. Took me all the way down really quick. Started getting black eyes. My very first black eye was because I wanted to go to this Mary Kay meeting where I met this beautiful tall lady who gave me a facial. So quickly I got out of Mary Kay very quickly. He would throw my products out, squeeze them out, and that's the first. Do we all know that trauma connects to our decisions in the future? Right. So that trauma, I want you to freeze frame it. Fast forward, here I am. Gave my life to the Lord, changed my life. I told God that if He took this man out of my life, that I would give a life for a life. Because I needed God to reveal to me that He was real. I said, if you take the desire for this man from me because he's going to kill me, I will serve you. And I was serious about that. And God revealed to me that He was real. And He took the desire away, and He saved my life and took me out of that relationship where I should be dead right now. And Mary Kay was the introduction of that. Yeah. Interesting. So here it is, 20 years later. I'm a pastor now in Savannah. I'm just like excited about pastoring, but very frustrated as a pastor because, as we know, as the time goes on, people go away from church more and more. People don't give to the church. They think it's a crock. It's like, you're tricking people, And so every Sunday, the offering would be very low but I felt a very strong dream to have a private school. I really felt like I wanted to help kids that had ADHD like me and that were told they were dumb. I didn't want them to go through that. I wanted them to be able to go to school and not have any medication, and that they could be creative, and I could have an art brain, a right brain thinking school. And I had all these dreams and all these people around me that were like, I want to do it too. I'm going to go to college for this. And we were planning for it for years. We met in college and we're like, we're going to start this private school. So here I am with no money to do the private school. And I'm like, how am I going to start this private school with no money? So one day I was having a conversation with my God, and I was really frustrated because my organization was doing all they could to raise the money. We were putting the kids on this corner with signs saying car wash, and we were selling chicken dinners, and we were doing estate sales and anything we could possibly do to raise money, and it was still coming up with nothing. I was sitting in the board meetings like, so we're going to buy the chicken, we're going to cook the chicken, we're going to make the chicken, we're going to sell the chicken, and when the chicken's not all sold, we're going to all come and buy the chicken that we just donated. I said, anybody think this is stupid? And they're like, Pastor, this is what we have to do. And I'm like, stupid. I'm in the meetings like, so I was like talking to my God that day, and I said, you have to do something. I don't have the money. I have this huge building, and we don't have the money. What am I supposed to do? I don't know if anybody's ever had that conversation, but some of you guys have something in your spirit, down in you, that dream that you want to do, like a clothing line or something. Something in there. I'm talking to the dreamers, the people who have a dream, and it's not too late. So I went ahead and I said, got off the floor, and I said, getting over it, I'm gonna go get my nails done, started my day. And my husband's interesting day, because I said, I want to go to the nail shop. He was like, which one do you want to go to? You want to go to this one or that? I said, take me to that one. Got to the light. I said, no, take me to that one. He was like, girl, which nail shop do you want to go to? This is a new improved husband. And so, y'all know Pastor Chris. So I finally said, no, I think I switched like 2 or 3 times, and that could have changed my life if I went to that other nail shop, right? So I went to the right nail shop, and I sat in the number 1 chair. I never forget it, to get my feet done. Now I'm going to take you, because I'm ADHD, so I have to go and take you front and then take you back, okay? So follow me back 2 months before that. Going back 2 months. My friend from college was getting married. My husband and I had a friend from college. He said, I'm getting married. I was like, to who? You must have just met her. He was like, I love her, she's the one. And I'm like, you just met her. So he's like, would you DJ our wedding? Because I do gospel DJing. And I said, well, you got to bring her to the church so I can meet her, because I wanted to see if she was the right one. So we're in the office, we're meeting with her, and she's a beautiful woman. I was like, she is the right one. So I said, where y'all getting married? And he said, at the Liberty City Community Center. I said, no, that place is terrible. I had already started doing some work, because I'm still a carpenter, in my church. So we did the work ourselves. And the church was beautiful. It's in the hood, but it's beautiful. And so she was telling me her wedding, what she wanted for her wedding, and I'm like, I looked at my husband, he was like, go ahead, give her the world, because that's what you usually do. And I said, why don't you have your wedding here? And she was like, for free? And I was like, yes. And she was like, are you serious? So she started crying, I started crying. I said, have your wedding here, because she really was the right one. And they did meet like yesterday, and was trying to get married 2 days later. And so they had this shotgun wedding. It was beautiful in my church. So I saw this lady looking over in the corner. She's peering at me like, and then she walked over and I'm like, hey, who's the lady that's over there that's peering at me? They said, that's the mother of the bride. I said, why is she looking at me like that? So eventually she made her way next to me, and she's really Southern, okay? I'm from California, she's a Southern girl. But she said, how you doing, Reverend? And I said, I'm fine, how are you? And she said, I'm fine. So what do you really want for all this, for my daughter to have her wedding here? While they were preparing for the wedding, I said, nothing. I said, I'm in a position to bless you, and I want to be a blessing. And she said, so you're not going to charge my daughter later for this? I said, no. She's marrying our friend. I'm happy, and I want you to be blessed. Remember, that. Freeze frame that. Be a blessing. Because you never know when you're a blessing to someone, how it comes back. So, wedding went great. At the end of the wedding, we're walking outside. I noticed she had this brand new Navigator. I don't know if y'all have Navigators in Kilburn, but she had a Navigator. I was like, that's a nice truck. So walking out, she's like, Reverend King, that was a beautiful, you sure know how to have a good time. And I'm like, yeah, girl, I'm saved, I'm not dead. You know? So we're talking, and she's like, oh man, it was a pleasure. Your people are so beautiful. This was so fun. And I said, you're really gonna love your son-in-law. He's just the best, you know? And she's like, okay, well, it's nice meeting you. And we parted our ways, and I noticed her truck. And I said something about her truck. So now, go forward, what, 2 months. In the number one nail chair, I'm frustrated with God that morning, getting my toes done, water's bubbling. I'm like, give me that foamy stuff and all that. Lady walks in, and I'm looking, and she's peering at me, and I was like, she looks familiar. Finally, looks like she's really nervous, and I'm like, okay, she's about to sell me something. So she walks over to me, and I was like, okay, who is, and then when she gets right up on me, I realized who she was. Reverend King. I said, hey, how are you? How's your new son? She's like, oh, you're right, he's the best, and I just, oh man, small talk. Next thing you know, interesting pause. I'm like, here it comes. So what you got? What's going on? She's like, well, have you heard of Mary Kay? And now, mind you, I had been in Savannah. I went to college there because I got to go to college eventually as a 27-year-old. So I went to college there and I ended up staying. So this is like almost 20 years after going to college. She's, I've heard of Mary Kay, but the first thing I thought was what? The trauma. My mind was like, we can't sometimes as women separate from our trauma. It's weird. Even though I'm healed and moved on, when she said Mary Kay, it just kind of brought that feeling back, okay? I've heard of Mary Kay, and she said, well, I am, going for, she said something about directorship. I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about anything, but I did think, okay, I remember having this feeling that if I did Mary Kay, I would do great in it. Back in the 90s, I remember that feeling. So I felt it, but I pushed it back down. And she said, would you be interested? Immediately, no. And I gave her that face. She said, well, Reverend, I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm so sorry. I just, of course you pause and you say, why you can't. I'm very, very busy. And I just went. And she said, well, and I felt bad because I know how to break somebody down with my nose. And I was like, oh, I'm used to be a salesperson. This is so wrong right now, but I don't want to. She just needs to know. I can't. I got too much going on in my head. I was just thinking, I got to school. I was finishing my doctorate. I got this, I got that. I can't. I was the first woman to start my own church, like in Savannah, in an area where men do not let women be ministers. Like no. And I can't. Finally I'm married. I'm starting to be somewhat accepted, and I'm like, I don't want anything that's gonna mess up my reputation. So she says it again. Would you be interested in, I said, look, I'm not interested. I'm too busy. So she paused. I remember she was going outside, and I found out a story later from Kim Myers told me that my senior was in Texas eating at a restaurant with Kim Myers. And this is once you get to the top and you start having conversations. She said, I was eating in a restaurant in Texas, and I was eating with your senior. And I said, what? She said, I was eating with who recruited your sister. And her sister called Stacy when I was eating with her. And we were on the phone coaching her how she used to get her butt back in there and ask you again. And I said, what? And she was like, Larinda, I was in Texas eating with Stacy. And I said, are you serious? I found this out this year. And she said, what? And she said, because I told her no. She went outside and I saw her on the phone talking to someone. And I'm like, okay. She comes back to my chair again. Was there be any reason why? And I said, look, I've never seen anybody in my community that's black that's did Mary Kay. I've never seen anybody in 20 years. I will be a customer, but I'm not signing up. And she said, confidence went back down again. So all of you who keep taking no's, and I know better, because when she came back and asked me the 4th time, I said, I remember when I was in sales, we used to say that you need to take 5 no's. I said, she's about to give me 5, I'm gonna have to tell this lady no 5 times. And so in my head, I'm thinking, oh God, Larinda. So she comes back again and says, would there any reason why you would help me with my goal? I'm like, what is your goal? She said, I'm earning my car. I said, wait a minute, you have a brand new Navigator. I just saw it two months ago. It's a big, nice truck. So now I'm intrigued. I'm like, why would you be earning a car and you have first of all, I said, I haven't seen a black woman in a car. So I've never, in all my years, like when I was a little girl, I used to drive with my daddy from Sacramento to Oakland, San Francisco, and we would have like contests. If I saw certain numbers on the license plate, he'd give me a penny, and if I saw a Cadillac, I was like, and I would always see a beautiful white woman smile at me, and I'd be like, oh, and she'd be like, and I was like, oh, wow. So I always thought Mary Kay was amazing, but I'm like, I didn't think it was really for me, and then I had that bad traumatic experience, was connected. So when she said she was going for the car, I was like, why would you do that? And so she explained to me how the car program worked, and to me, I was like, you're gonna save your family money. And so I asked her how much the car note was. I asked her, well, if you don't take the car, then what happens? Well, if I don't, this will happen, because in the States, everything's different between our country and your country. But I was looking at the car program, and I had already been researching in America how I kind of sensed that something was coming. Like, I didn't know it was called the pandemic, but I knew something was coming because I started noticing a trend in the car prices going up. And I was like, something is coming bad, and I just don't know what it is. So my husband and I were already looking into cars, and we're like, gosh, this is getting bad, because I have a daughter, and at the time I had a son was getting out of high school, and I had another daughter that was grown, and she was in college. I'm like, the car situation was starting to be an issue. And so I was like looking at, I'm like, these are crazy. These car notes prices are ridiculous. Like, I'm like, there's gotta be a way, we gotta cut some income here, because it's just crazy. And so she tells me about the car program and how she was gonna, in America, you can buy out on your car, and she was gonna bless her son with it in college. And I was like, that's smart. So I said, okay, what do you need for your car? So she told me what her goal was. So don't be afraid to share your goal, because some of us are suckers for helping people. We won't do anything for anybody else, but we'll do it, for ourselves, but we'll do everything for everybody else. And that's how she got me. She shared with me her goal. And so then I had to be faced with the trauma of what was connected to Mary Kay, but then I had to remember that tall, beautiful woman that really touched my soul, that offered me Mary Kay skincare products, and on top of that, I'm telling this lady, I'm not interested, and I had cystic, like, acne on my face. I had really bad skin, y'all. And so I finally told her, you know what? She asked me a 5th time, and I was like, this is the 5 no's. I said, no, and I said, okay. So she had a goal. I said, how much do you need for your car? What do you need? She said, I only need one more person. I said, all right. I signed up. My husband came and got me. I said, oh my God. He's like, what? And I said, I just signed up with Mary Kay. I'm so, immediately I went to my trauma. I said, babe, I'm so sorry. I just had to help. I blabbered, and he said, he just touched me. He said, you don't do anything that God hasn't led you to do. And I looked at him. I said, look at him. I said, this isn't the same man. This isn't the same life. So the past was getting ready to transition out, and something was being entered in the future. And that moment, I had a God is real moment again. Because I remember wanting to do Mary Kay. And I was like, I think I'm going to do good at this. And so I signed up with Mary Kay. And the first thing was, I'm just going to help her finish her goal. I'm that girl. I'm the girl that's, if you're transparent with me, I'll help you finish your goal. I'm that girl. I'm not going to do it for myself, but I'll always do it for someone else. So I went out, took the book, I went to everybody I knew, and I slammed that book in front of them. I said, you're going to order something out of here. Because we all know how to talk to our people, right? So I went to my daughter, I was like, you need to order something, this lady's trying to get her car. Well, Mom, I don't even know what to, I said, Siobhan, do not order eyeliner that's cheap. Get something good. So Cedric needs, your husband needs some stuff, the girls need some stuff, my grandkids. I went to everybody and said, we gotta help this girl get her car. And people are not gonna say yes to her, but they'll say yes to me. And so I called my family, I ended up getting almost 4,000 in sales. Because I was intentional. How many of us are not intentional about helping someone else? So I was intentional. And so I said, I'm going to get this. And so I finally got it, made an order. I figured out how to make the order. And I went, and my husband's looking at that cash like. And I kept thinking in the back of my head, well, we just did a fundraiser at the church, and I didn't make this much. But I was putting it in the back of my head, I was like, So I made the order. She calls me. Reverend King, oh my gosh, you did it. You did what you said you were going to do. And I said, girl, I said if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And she said, oh my God, I finished my car. And I said, no, you didn't. She was like, yes, I did. I said, come to my house and order a car. I want to see it. She ordered that car in front of me, y'all. And I watched her go through ordering it. And I said, you're not paying for nothing here? And what do you need to do? And that's it. So you're just going to work to earn a car. I said, that's what people do every day. They go to work and pay a car note. So you're just going to go to work and do makeup? I was sitting there going, this is just smart. I know I'm not too dumb, but makes sense. So anyway, she orders the car. A few months, like a month or so went by, and I was kind of like, okay, people in my skin started clearing up. People that I was making get on the product. They were calling me with orders. I had a guy who was a social worker. He had horrible skin. Everybody that had bumpy face. I'm like, you're gonna get on this with me. We're gonna do it together. We'll call each other, get on the Zoom. Like, we just gonna do our face together. Because I didn't know how to do it yet. I just know that I was helping someone. So Matthew Brown, who is now a sales director, he was a social worker, a male social worker. All the women at his job and at the courthouse were like, your face is clearing up. What are you using? They thought he had slipped and started getting with the lady because he was single. And he was like, no, I'm using my Mary Kay. And they're like, let me get a book. So he starts calling me with orders. I'm like, $300 and $400 orders. I'm like, what are you doing? He was like, this is the judge and this person and this person. I'm like, Matthew, maybe you should offer them the opportunity. Maybe you should sign up. And he's like, I can't sell no Mary Kay. I said, dude, you just gave me $1,500 this week. So, anywho, everyone's face started to clear up by the time she ordered the car and the car came in. I was seriously considering it. I went to my husband, I said, would you, let's fast on this. Let's fast and pray about it. I'm thinking maybe, we should do this as a fundraiser. Maybe we can do this to help fund something else. We don't like to say fundraiser. But I was like, so he said, well, let me look at the marketing plan. And I said, I will do some deep research on Mary Kay to make sure she wasn't a closet racist. I'm being serious. Because in my community, there was no Mary Kay. So black people, the first thing they're gonna say is, why are you selling me this product for black skin and this is a white woman? So you got to know your market. I needed to know how to present this to my community. And they're gonna rib me. They're gonna be like, why didn't you do a black product? Why didn't you do this? And I'm like, this is a good product for black skin. Look at my skin. It's cleared up. And so they were gonna say, well, this isn't a black-owned business. Yes, it is, it's my business. And I'm black-owned.
Yeah.
And I'm independent. So I needed to get all of the things out the way that I knew people would say negatively to me. And besides that, I just had made $4,000. So why wouldn't I want to share this with my community? And their faces are clearing up. I have one girl that's a director now, had the worst scam, you guys. Now she's a director and she talks in front of people, and I'm like, she was at my church years and just mousy, just like this, just talk like this. And I'm saying, Keely, just stand up. Ma'am. I'm like, oh my God. Her face cleared up and now she's like, and I'm like, wow, this stuff has got just juju juice in it. I'm like, this is like God's spirit is in this product. And so, flash forward, because I know I gotta close up now. This product, not only did it connect me with my dreams, but when my husband came out of that room, he said, babe, this marketing plan is phenomenal. He said, either God's hand is on it or this is the biggest scam ever. And I said, really? And the other issue that I had, because I asked the women, what thing did you think Mary Kay was bad that you were wrong, is I was afraid of that if I did Mary Kay, and as a reverend or a pastor, if I sold something, I would be looked at very negatively. And I was afraid of what the community was going to say about me. Right. Secondly, I was afraid, deathly afraid, of something a life that I gave up, sales, to go be a reverend and to become poor and to go without. You know, like, I still have work on my mouth I have to do because I served in ministry and didn't have medical and didn't have dental because the people are more important. And I went without medical for years. And I was afraid that if I got into Mary Kay and I felt like I would do really well at it, that the rings and the jewelry would take me away from God and make me leave God because now I got into shiny things. And then I was afraid that if I did well, what if I can't hold it? What if I'm successful and I bring the community into it and then I fail? And my numbers go down and I won't be successful anymore. Those are all real feelings and they're real. And so, after I researched Mary Kay, I found out that she cared so much about my people. I talked to a 91-year-old woman that said Mary Kay was her friend, Lenny Woods, a black woman, that she gave her an opportunity to be a director in the 60s when they were still hanging black people. Mary Kay was an amazing woman that she did so much for my people. And I found more and more stories and I said, I love this company. And then my husband told me, this company is going to bring the money we need. And so I went all in. I said, I don't care about my fears. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this well. And every dollar that I got coming in, I'm going to pour it into this vision. And so I used Mary Kay to fund a private school that wasn't even off the ground yet. Sure the money that I made, that I sold it. And then I just went to my people and I said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So those of you who have a dream, but it is only in a pen because you only wrote it and you haven't done anything with it. This is my story. This is how Mary Kay blessed me. But today, I have a private school called the Larinda King2 Academy. And it has the most brilliant 20-something kids that you will ever meet in a community that you would never think anything good would come out of. They have a TV studio. They have a radio studio. We're still putting it together. And I have a dream that I'm going to have a whole school, somebody's going to give me a school building because that's what Mary Kay does. It takes your dream and a pen and it turns it into reality. If you're willing to open up yourself to whatever your dream is, and you really, really work hard for what it is that you believe, because that's what Mary Kay wanted to do. She said, you can have your dreams. One woman can. This is my story, but what is yours? And I didn't realize that if I sold into that and I raised up, and so that others could rise, that I was making room and giving other people permission to step up. And now I have over 14 directors that are fulfilling their dreams and they're saving their family money. What if I had said no a sixth time? All of the unlocking of other people's lives could be connected to this decision today. My daughter, to see her pick up a car and my grandbabies to jump in it and I don't have to pay anything. You know? She's here in Canada speaking. Oh, the stories, the people that got off of welfare. And, oh my God, it's just, I have so many stories and I can't because I only have like 2 minutes left. Who are you connected to? What is the dream? Are you willing to work for it? But Mary Kay lays it literally out for you. And you can design it however you want. And Mary Kay has changed my life. And it can change yours. And it has changed my ministry. And I don't care what people say anymore. Because when I go into that school and I see those kids run up to me saying, Apostle Larinda! Oh my God, I get out every day. I will get up every day. I don't need anybody to convince me because champions do not have to be chased. So please know that Mary Kay, it will unlock potential and it will make you a better person and it will give you the dreams. If you're allowing yourself to free your dreams, they can be free.